to our live stream. We've got grafting going on, questions going on. Scott here to help graft and answer questions. And Beth is in charge of everything.
I'm the secretary. I type the answers. But I just take directions, so don't blame me.
So anyway, we're grafting mangoes today, and Scott and I, and this is sort of like a quilting bee without the quilts. It's just a very relaxing thing, and we like to, when we have the chance, graft, and then we can just chat. But it's a meditative practice. Yeah. So instead of having, that solitary or almost solitary experience, we're sharing it with you, and also taking advantage of all these people and answering some YouTube comments. And so, if you want to ask us stuff right now, that's fine, but we're going to go and look at some grafting video comments and some recent video comments, and while we're grafting, we'll try and answer that. I apologize that we haven't been up to date on the YouTube comments, but here's our chance to get at least a little bit more up to date.
They want you to move your plants from...
They want me to move my plants.
Yes, they want to see the gorgeous, and they want to see that.
Where did you see that?
Yeah, I'm sure that's not
comes
a
up
comment.
here. I don't think you see it.
Okay.
I don't know.
So,
All right, how about that? Is that better?
so we've got,
You can see my mask.
Saying they can't really hear you.
Okay. Well then, how about that? I'll take the mask off. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
yeah, it sounds like a commercial, right?
I know, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so, we're...
Far better.
Beautiful. Okay.
Thanks for the feedback from whomever. It's,
No, it's good to know.
yeah. We'll get, by the end of the video, Scott will be
Figure out what we're
shouting.
doing.
I will.
Or have laryngitis, one of the two.
Yes.
Well, the thing is that I don't see where those comments are coming in, so I don't see where to respond live.
Ah.
That's the problem.
So we've got Graham. These are varieties that we just always seem to need. So I've gotten some scions, and I'm just organizing them like crazy fit or whatever. But we've got Graham, Indo Chinese, only one Cushman that I found that was ready to graft, and then we have more Jakarta. So just start on that. We've got some rootstock that has been, it looks like it's in good state, so just, you're welcome. This will be the communal clippers.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah, I brought out some elastics
All right.
just in case, but on this kind of grafting, a lot of times we don't use elastics, but they're here in case you run into a really wooden scion, or, scion and rootstock.
On-screen beheading. There we go.
So anyway, here's the organized ones, and we've
Short
got
on.
buddy tape, what?
Here's a bit.
I think you guys need to talk a little bit.
Well, did I not bring that? I thought, I will be going and getting the last thing in this organized kit. You go right ahead and without me though.
Okay.
You can maybe chew those edges or whatever. Maybe we have a
With my
comment
big pointy teeth. Yeah.
from a previous video or something that God can.
Higgins,
Yeah.
Jean Alex wants you to know that she has 15 varieties not available in the U.S. She said delicious.
That's lovely. I would like them. Please send them by mail. We'll respond in time. Actually, on a serious note, scions cannot be mailed to or from the United States because of the risk of disease. And that actually is a big deal.
And science is spelled out.
S-C-I-O-N-S.
Science what? Can't be.
They can't be imported into the United States. don't want any bugses.
Yeah. So here we have the last, I think that's the last thing that I needed to bring, apart
Ah.
from, things like water.
The equipment.
and things. So anyway, I'm going to just wrap these also so that I can mark them.
You guys are going to need to speak more loudly.
Okay.
Me too?
Yep.
I always speak loudly.
They will try to.
Thank you for just keep mentioning it, especially to Scott. On a lot of the videos, you start off
You say that
strong,
I'm mumbling.
and then it just like gets quieter and quieter.
I'm a chronic
you know?
mumbler. What can I do?
I was teaching debate classes at the time.
Yes, that was so me. So first mango graft of the day will be Graham.
Yep, Graham is a variety that is now not very commonly grafted, and so we are finding ourselves having to graft Graham because a lot of our customers want to grow Graham, especially important for people from Jamaica, but a lot of the other islands also.
It's a lovely mango.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it gets a bad rap because people eat it when it's too ripe. And you do not want to eat Graham too ripe. That's, like eating
It's like
Julie
Julie,
too ripe.
yeah.
Question.
Not a good thing. But no, Graham's a lovely mango.
Hey, Chris, how do you want me to answer people who want help with their own mango situations on home and want to talk to you?
Well, it's sort of hard because I don't have a lot of time when I can actually talk. If you're local, you can stop by Saturdays, especially between 10 and noon, because early on in the morning, like at 9 o'clock, it's a lot of fruit sales when we have enough fruit to sell. But the rest of the morning, we're really talking plants, and people, want our advice on what varieties to plant, what mango varieties to plant, or what's going on with their tree. And so, we try to answer those things. But also, there's a lot of information available online. So I think we've listed those resources somewhere along the line. I can't remember where it was. And also, agricultural extension. They have, volunteers ready to help you with your.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you can take a few.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Somebody wants to know if Graham is a decent producer.
Yeah, it is. It's very nice. The fruit are larger than Julie. It's I'm not sure if it's a Julie seedling or if it's a seedling of a Julie seedling, but definitely related to Julie. It's a larger fruit than Julie is, and the tree, of course, is larger also, but it's classified as a small tree. It's it's not going to be like a Valencia Pride, or not just like a Valencia Pride, but that's sort of my standard. It's
If
like
you value any sun at all.
Well, you definitely have to take stay on top of the Valencia Pride and keep it pruned back and such. But without pruning, it gets to be a very large tree.
Excuse me, would you like to answer a question about air layering?
That's a tough one.
We can try.
Okay, the question from Ezekiel's Photography from 2 days ago is, thank you so much, great video. How do you feel about air layering? And also from rooting cuttings, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos on people who have successfully rooted cuttings after a few weeks. In a humid environment, they show signs of sprouting, but I've never seen them show the roots. And if so, will this tree bear fruit and be successful as a clone?
I've also heard of instances where like people plant even growths of air layered plants or ones from cuttings, but basically I don't think it's appropriate for our situation here because we need the taproot. we've got a lot of
Can you do it?
taproot. You know, the root that goes straight down and really anchors that tree is important, especially during hurricanes and such. And so, you know, the air layer, it sends out, you know, the other roots like the feeder roots, but not the taproot. And so I think it would be more vulnerable to hurricane force winds during that. And for us, it's no big deal for grafting. I mean, you do have to plant the seeds first. And so you're limited by the number of seeds that, you know, are, you know, or the seedlings that are at the right stage, but it makes, I think, a stronger plant.
I agree.
How old should rootstock be before trying to graft onto it?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Yeah, it sort of depends on what kind of grafting you're doing.
I've seen grafting done. Actually, there's videos on YouTube of people grafting 30 days after they've planted a seed, and using scion wood that's much larger than the seedling.
You know, the younger seedlings have like undifferentiated cells that actually is very helpful, but it's, to success.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it's so weak. So they use that for you know, the bud grafting, you know, the very young stage, and you know, grafted young shoots off of trees, and just you need to go in toward the base of the shoot instead of at the top.
Right.
Yeah.
I have grafted really small seedlings, but the success rate, at least for me, hasn't been great. Maybe 1 in 4 will take for me, and that's probably on a good day. I prefer to do wood that's this size, at least pencil thick. Anything smaller than that certainly can be done, but I don't have the success with those that I do with this size or larger. I hope that answers the question.
I have questions. What kind of non-stick sheets do you use, and are they reusable?
For our dehydrator?
I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, the questions are all together.
Okay. Well, I'll assume it's for the dehydrator, and it's the ones that the dehydrator company sells, and so I'm not really a source of information there. But yes, they definitely are reusable. You know, we just soften whatever is left with soaking in water, and then do some mild soap solution, and I've used the same sheets for years.
Okay, I answered the question on my own.
Okay.
But I'm going to check with you.
Okay.
This person says, with so many mango tree varieties growing there, would you find that the fruit flavor would slightly vary with each tree caused by cross-pollination due to flower pollen varieties, or there would be no change to flavor at all? And I said, this is that. My experience is that a variety can taste differently from 2 different trees on the same farm, or from farm to farm in the same area.
Yeah, true. And even different parts of the tree can have different flavors of fruit of the fruit, because you know, like a very sunny location will be possibly sweeter than a more shady and interior of the tree or the north side of the tree. But as far as pollination affecting the flavor, I've never heard of that. The pollination affects the seed, but you know, as far as what the seed grows up to be, what kind of plant it grows up to be, but not the flavor of the fruit itself. You know, of course, the weather can affect the flavor of the fruit, and also the amount of nutrients that are available to it. You know, like you know, calcium is one that's pretty important, but there's all sorts of micronutrients that help the flavor of the mango.
I would venture to say what nutrients.
Louder.
I would say that. Sorry, I'll never remember to speak up.
Louder.
So someone's going to have to prompt me.
Louder.
I would say nutrients are probably nutrients and sunlight. I imagine are probably the 2 most important.
Yeah,
Factors
water
in
helps
that.
too.
Yeah, of course. But
too much water dilutes.
well, I was going to say, and the level of
Yeah.
water certainly determines the consistency of the mango. If nothing else.
Louder.
Oh my, I'm gonna get a
Just
bullhorn.
just yell.
I will.
Pretend that there's a train going by in the background and we're talking over it.
Okay, I will attempt to do that.
This person called Tiny Jungle says, love it, thank you. I love the great information in your previous video regarding when to pick a specific variety of mango and how some signs apply to almost all mangoes. But there are special characteristics to look for in each variety. I was hoping you could possibly add a bit of information about each variety at your tastings. Specifically, the unique characteristics each variety has when optimally ripe or optimal picking time. Just a thought, and I understand if you want to have specific videos for that type of content, although the tastings seem like a great... Hang on, I have to click and read more. Great opportunity to have several ripe mangoes at one time. There always seems to be a debate whether or not the mangoes are optimally ripe or were picked at the right time. Sorry for going on so long. Thanks again for the great content. Great question.
It is.
And
Yeah,
how
but-
you prefer the ripeness of a mango depends on your individual taste buds.
Yeah, and this year though has been not the best for the tasting table varieties because our focus has been getting as much fruit out to the customers as possible, and so a lot of times what's left for the tasting tables it's like, okay, we weren't sure about this one, let's let's try it out, see how it tastes, and it is. I find it helpful to taste things at different stages, and so we've done a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But it's just been challenging. We haven't been as organized as we've been in the past, and we just suddenly corralled Beth or Scott to do a tasting table, and then it's like, oh, what mangoes are we going to taste? So sorry about that. Next year, hopefully, will be a better, more organized tasting tables. But we just did what we could this year.
We're doing the best we can on sound, but we're limited with our equipment. So we do have a directional mic, but it doesn't go on the current camera that we are using. So sorry, guys.
Yep, our first video, so we're trying our first live stream, we've heard that there's some things that we can order to make our current equipment ready for the task, but right now we're working with what we have.
Is Carrie still the most popular?
Well, it is. This year, there's just a lot of people. Oh, sorry. That flavor is very important to a lot of people. But we also have had other varieties that have instantly sold out. We just haven't had as many of them. And I'm looking forward to some new varieties, hopefully producing next year. So when it's a new variety, we're just testing it out, and so it's going to be, there's a lag between that, like how many people like it or how many people taste it, and when we can have a lot of fruit for a lot of people to taste it. But there's a lot of strong varieties. What ones come to mind for you, Scott?
As far as
This year.
demand?
No, personally. What
Personally?
Yeah. What has been especially memorable for you this year?
This year, Pineapple Pleasure has been, I think, the standout. Last year, I don't remember. Maybe I didn't have it last year.
We didn't have very much fruit last year in that.
But that's a marvelous mango with an unfortunate name.
Why is it unfortunate?
Well, it hits him well.
I don't care for that. But
I gave him an abbreviation for that, and he
And it
didn't
was
care
worse.
for that either. Come here, baby.
yeah, it was the abbreviation's no better than the name. Pineapple Pleasure has been really good this year. Zilando Chinese has been wonderful this year. Orange, was it Orange Essence or Orange Sherbet? I can't remember.
Essence, we didn't have the sherbet this year.
That was marvelous this year.
Okay, what about my favorite this year?
Yeah, you tell us.
Anyway.
Oh, you know.
Phoenix.
Venus. Oh, Venus
Phoenix.
was really good.
Whoa.
Phoenix.
Yeah. Venus was marvelous this
I
year.
haven't had Venus.
She said Phoenix.
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 Phoenix. Oh.
It's
I don't think I've
related
had
to
one this year.
Dot, and Dot's my favorite.
Dot is a
Dot's
good
been my
mango.
favorite for if
Yeah.
you like if you like Dot, you will love Phoenix.
I don't think I've had one this year. I may have, but I don't remember it.
I had two.
You took mine.
See, that's why you need to
No.
live closer to us.
Actually,
know.
that's not the case. I took someone else's. I came and I got a bag of mangoes to bring to a friend's house, and then Chris gave me some for me, and I took the Phoenix out of the bag for the friend, and I replaced it
This
with
is like
another one.
confessions of
Yeah.
mango lovers, you know what?
And that friend is watching this
Oh,
this
I
YouTube
probably
video.
not. I don't think. Well, first of all, they're in Ginny Springs right now, so they're
Ah.
probably not, and
Yeah.
I will not point it out to them.
That's wise.
So Michael Brown wants to know if you have a grafting class, and we are also still having lots of complaints about being able to be heard.
Oh.
Everybody has to understand that Scott and Chris, although they speak a lot, they generally are soft spoken.
Well, actually, all the complaints are about you.
Sure, we'll just let her think that.
We will try.
Yeah, Beth.
Okay, train is in the background, okay?
All right. Okay.
You're at the
Re-
train station talking about grafting.
Yes.
What'd you say?
Exactly. I'm going to endeavor to be very loud.
I don't think that's loud enough.
You don't?
No, I think you need to have a shouting demeanor.
Wasn't there a Saturday Night Live, We're the Loud
Yeah,
Family?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to try to be the loud family.
Yes.
As my father would always say, project your voice.
Yeah. 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 Music classes or chorus or whatever. Project. Project. Project.
It's also the background noise.
Good. At least I'm not to blame.
Yeah, okay. Unless you were part of the background noise,
I
right?
am.
Okay.
Very soft.
So the grafting class, can we address that?
Sorry. What was the question?
Yeah, well, it's sort of tough with this, the restrictions here. It's something that well, actually,
I am the result of a grafting
Yes,
class, by the
yes.
way.
yeah, it was a wonderful
So,
result.
blame
yes.
her.
Yeah. Yes, Scott showed up at the one and only grafting place
Well, I
that
didn't
we
even
had.
know there was a grafting class being offered.
Well, that was.
This was years ago.
That was years ago. Yes. Do you remember when you first met Scott? It was way
Like-
before that.
Yes, it was.
And since then, I have never
sorry.
been invited to a grafting class. What do you have to say about
Well, I
yourself?
haven't had a grafting class since then, so.
Oh, because you got Scott and you felt that was enough?
Yeah, he was really.
wait
too
a
much,
minute.
Yeah.
I'm being railroaded. I don't feel right about this.
Well, if you'd speak up,
Ah.
we wouldn't railroad you.
Yeah, but
But
if
yeah.
I can say whatever I want under my breath.
So the problem is usually time and energy, and so when people are really thinking about grafting, it's in mango season or mango tree trimming season, and so I don't have the time and energy then, and then like sometimes after that time I think I'm sort of staring at blank walls, like okay, let's recover. And then in the winter, it's not a great time for grafting. So anyway, those are my excuses that I can think of right now. But basically, time and energy is the problem, and then the pandemic puts a whole nother layer of complications to it.
Yeah.
So we hope.
All I hear is a bunch of whining.
Yeah. You're right.
So it's we have our best intentions,
So-
but it just hasn't happened here.
Michael Brown, take note. If they invite you to a grafting class, please remember to have them invite me as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Michael Brown, though, as far as I know, he's successful at grafting. So,
Ah,
well,
I think I know who that is. I think I know who that is. Hi, Michael.
I think a lot of grafting is just doing it. I mean, watch the videos that are available, follow the instructions. Some will fail, some won't. but the more that you practice at it, the better you get at it. And a grafting class is nice because you can, I really am. A grafting class is nice because you can get hands-on once.
Pause. A grafting class is nice because you can get hands-on
One time.
one time.
Right, but after that, you're still going home and doing this yourself.
And after that, you're still going home and doing this yourself.
So you're like
I should just
the
talk
person,
another
you know,
language.
another Saturday Night Live references, you know,
Yeah.
the little insert of you know, like for the hearing impaired, right?
Now they're talking about Saturday Night Live, so I've been lost.
Yes. But you're still on your own, so you go home and practice grafting, and that's not being mean, but as you practice more, you get better at. I feel like I'm that handshaky person.
Are you
Like,
insinuating you have a mean bone in your body?
I have a lot of bones in my body. There might be one nice one, but I haven't found it yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
stop.
But-
He's the nicest.
But yeah,
You don't
practice-
sound mean.
practice is really, really important. And yeah, a grafting class is nice because you get that one experience to give you the confidence to start. But there's no reason that given the pandemic and stuff, you can't get some seedling trees and do this at home. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's really pretty easy.
Yeah, the basics is, you know, of course you want to start with a fairly healthy seedling. Ideally, these would have been fertilized, you know, a month ago or something, but I doubt they were. But you want it to, you know, be, you know, in good shape.
Yeah.
And you want to pick your scions so that the buds are just starting to push out. And basically, you know, for top cleft graft, you want to make a wedge that at the point is like 1 cell thick. Now, I've never put it under a microscope. You just use your imagination. That's how thick a 1 cell would be. You want it as sharp of a point as possible, and then you just cut off the top of the plant and make a slit that's about the same length as your wedge that you just put in, and you slide it down there, and then of course secure the rootstock. You know, you don't want it. You want to have some pressure on that area so that you have a good contact between the rootstock and the budwood or the graftwood. So
I have a question before you continue.
okay.
If I took home, for example, 10 seedlings and 5 Phoenix scions and 5 dot scions, and I grafted them, and they all took, when would I have fruit?
Probably about 3 years. It depends on the rate of the growth. You know, for top working, you know, grafting when they're. I don't think that I could talk any louder.
We need to buy bullhorns. We do. Next one,
maybe
we're
we
using
could-
bullhorns.
Maybe
It'll be
we could
good.
have send out hearing aids for everybody. You know, like they could turn the volume way up or something. I
I'm
don't
just
know.
willing to sacrifice my throat for our audience.
Well, no. Anyway, where was I?
You're about 3 years.
So that's when dealing with like a seedling like this. And of course it depends on situation, how much water, fertilizer, sunlight, all that kind of thing that it has. But when I grafted onto a very mature tree, there was one area that I had fruit in 14 months. And so of
Really?
course, yeah, there's some Julie stuff that I did a few years back. I think it was
I'm
2017.
super jealous.
Yeah. So it's a massive tree. That was like a 70-year-old tree.
Oh, okay.
And so it's got this great root system, and it was able to grow a lot before it had to calm down for flowering. So anyway, with a seedling like this, I'm thinking 3 years is a pretty good estimate.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question from Jay Jongan. How to grow a mango plant faster, and which is the best season for mango plant? And I'm thinking the first question is, where are you?
Yes.
Oh, okay, not his question, your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're answering answering questions with questions.
No, I'm
It's
saying.
like when you're in an interview and you don't know the answer, you just
Yeah,
ask another
yeah.
question.
I replied, that depends on where you are located, and we will wait for further information.
Okay.
I'm trying to pick questions where the answer won't be that long so that I can type fast enough to keep up with Chris. If it gets too long, I lose.
I'm really not that quick, so.
No, but you go into detail that I can't keep up with, and I do type 80 words a minute. So although you're soft spoken, you speak a lot.
So are you, for soft-spoken people, do you touch type?
Silence.
Come on, that was pretty good.
That was good.
Something about somebody ate the skin of a mango. Was this something with Har?
Yeah, hard,
would be hard.
and Bill does that too.
Yeah.
Which are the mangoes that, which mangoes can you eat the skin of?
Well, Har's favorite is Rosa. Actually, he says Tommy Atkins, that's the only decent part of the whole fruit is the skin. So, yeah, those two. Bill was, even thought that P22 was a good tasting skin or whatever, which surprised me. I am not a, like a eater of skin kind of thing. But apart from Rosa well, Glenn is not an objectionable skin, and so a lot of people who have access to Glenn and not access to, they're on the move kind of thing, walking around town in especially areas that grow a lot of mangoes, is they'll eat the skin of Glenn. And it's not really because it tastes good, it just doesn't taste bad. And so it's just a convenience thing. But the ones that really taste bad are usually
Most Thai varieties.
Yeah, the Southeast Asian varieties are usually ones that you don't want to
Yeah.
eat.
Not good. Not good at all. And there are some Indian varieties that they have so much resin near the skin. It would be Neelam, for example, it's great to have the fruit near the skin, but eating the skin itself is a completely different animal. It's like eating kerosene or something.
Going into the wrong door.
Yeah, it's not great. But the fruit itself is marvelous.
So what varieties are you grafting right now into the seedlings?
Right now I'm grafting Jakarta.
Why are you not only grafting Dot and Phoenix?
Because I am not ruled by Beth.
Well, that's what you think.
Yet.
By the end of the hour, you might come to
Yeah,
the
no,
realization.
I will obey. Yeah, I'm a little worried about that, Beth. I'm sorry.
Scott, what are your favorite mangoes?
Oh, that's tough.
Top 5.
Top 5. At the very top of my list is Moldova. The very top of my list is Moldova. The second, I think, is probably Zilindo Chinese. The third,
Well, where does
Is-
Venus rank next to Zilindo Chinese? Because then Zilindo
Yeah.
Chinese is one of the parents of that. So.
it is, but Zilindo Chinese has a flavor that nothing else has. And I'm not sure that Venus would be necessarily top 5. I don't know. That's a very tough question. Because Dot would be in there for sure. Julie would be in there for sure.
And Juliet.
And Juliet's a very nice fruit.
Very.
Pineapple Pleasure, the offensively named mango.
I don't know.
It doesn't offend anybody. but
I know,
you,
it's
think.
me
You know, it's
and
just-
my little foibles.
I
Give me some space, man.
I remember tasting Pineapple Pleasure, but I don't remember how I felt about it. I have to go back and see if it's on the video.
I think it's a marvelous mango with with an objectionable name.
What would you name it?
I don't know, something else.
Not PP.
No, probably not. Well, maybe. I think that would be a good laugh. Yeah, but no, pineapple pleasure, not so much.
But it encapsulates the flavor.
I don't think it tastes like pineapple.
Yeah.
I don't remember
I know.
thinking that
I know.
either.
I know.
It's kind of like, do you think Southern Blush tastes like peach?
No, it tastes like blush.
Because
Somehow I knew that was coming. Yeah.
there have been moments of eating Southern Blush mangoes,
Yeah.
especially near the skin,
Mm-hmm.
or is it near the pit? I forget. No, I think the skin,
Mhm.
where you do get that peachy flavor. But most of enjoying it is just a really delicious, juicy
Yeah,
mango
yeah.
rather than the peach
Yeah,
flavor. But I can see where the name came from.
I've had Southern Blush, and it's an enjoyable mango. I didn't really get peach out of it,
Well,
but it's fine.
Chris gave me an oddly ripened taste of an orange essence the other day, where every bit of the fruit tasted different.
Uh-huh.
One, this side was overripe. This side tasted like coconut something to me.
Uh-huh.
Then I tasted, yes, this is orange essence.
Uh-huh.
So it was really interesting. I like the orange essence a lot. I would say that to name my top 5, since you asked,
I did.
I would also have a very hard time with it.
It's
Because I would have to do my top 5 per 2-week period of time.
Yeah,
Because if it's ripe and it's in my hand
it's your favorite.
this week, and like if I can't get a Glen or a Dot or a Phoenix, or then what you have that week that's ripe, then I'll pick my favorites
Yeah.
from that. So
Yeah.
If you can't
That's-
love the one you love, then
love the one you're with. That's
right?
why I always say when I'm here and people are asking, I'm like, try as many varieties as you can
Yeah.
for the ones that we have right now,
Yeah.
so that you find favorites all throughout the season.
I agree. It's difficult.
Mari needs our attention.
Oh, sorry.
We have some questions coming in.
Oh,
Somebody
goody.
wants to know what kind of special care the grafted trees need after you graft them.
Well, what I usually do is I put them under a tree and make sure that they have water once a day. If we haven't had rain, but basically they do much better, I think, when they're not in direct sun, and so they have like
Yeah.
this little, gentle time in the shade, and after they have some mature leaves, then I move them out into a sunnier location.
And then when is the last month that you can graft?
What I exclude from grafting are times when the temperatures start getting too cold. Like if nighttime temperatures, get, I'd say below 60, but maybe even, that might be a little bit chilly even. Maybe below 65.
You're very aggressive.
Usually it's nighttime temperatures in the 70s is fine, and then when you get into the 60s, it gets a little dicier. I run into the problem, of course, that the time that I have the most time to graft is when the temperatures are the lowest, and so it's just one of those things that I'll try it just to see if it works. I think that actually the fall is my favorite time because the sun is not as strong, and so it's a little gentler weather, and then it's you just don't have to worry about the water as much, and the sunshine is not as harsh, and so it seems like there's a lot of success at that time of year. In the winter, it works out pretty well, but you have to especially be aware of when the trees might be about to flower, because you don't want to graft and have the graft be a successful flower instead of successful leaves coming out. It's not like a deal killer, but it does reduce your chances, and it certainly slows down the graft of the leaf growth on the graft.
And then they also would like to know what kind of tape you use for grafting.
Well, what we're using right now is buddy tape, and a roll. This is like a half of a roll, but a roll runs about $35, so it seems like a lot of money, but you only use one or two of these little pieces per, this is a piece right there, one or two for each graft, and so it's, for a lot of people, a lifetime supply. Depends on how much grafting you do. If you do get a product like this, make sure it doesn't get too hot, because if you, like Har left his buddy tape in his truck one time in the sun, and it was almost a full roll, and it just turns into like something akin to a candle, like the wax of a candle. It just, there is no way you can use it once it has melted into itself. But we use grafting elastics. The two things really that you need to do, sort of accomplish in grafting with the materials that you use is you want a secure union, and so if it's a real woody situation, grafting elastic or something like that. There's also nursery tape that are, well, I guess they call it just grafting tape, that is old style. It's a much stronger than the buddy tape, and it can like perform the same purpose or whatever as the elastic. So there's two things. Is you want the union nice and firm. You want to make sure that something is holding that together, and then you also want to prevent moisture loss. So the buddy tape is really good for the moisture loss. We wrapped everything, so that all the buds and the rest of the scion is all like sealed up. And you don't need to remove it. It just the leaves, the buds just burst through it, and eventually it dissolves. With the other types of materials, a lot of times you need to remove them. There's paraffin film and all sorts of other things. I've used some of them, and I just like to use the buddy tape because you can, like,
Buddy tape is easy.
It's easy, it's fast, and the whole grafting kit can fit into my pocket.
You don't have to really worry so
maybe
much about
put a few elastics in there, and my trusty little razor blade, which, of course, be careful with anything sharp, and then I'm ready for action, kind of thing. So what other types of materials have you used?
The only two things that I've used have been buddy tape and plastic bags, actually, for to cover a scion rather than to wrap it up when I ran out of buddy tape. The plastic bag method actually works fairly well, which kind of surprised me, but I'm pretty limited in my experience. I haven't really used grafting tape. I've received scions from people that have been wrapped in grafting tape, and I always take it off because I don't like the way that it affects the scion. And I tend to, maybe it's just my experience, but those scions, if I put them on the tree, tend not to do as well as the ones that are wrapped in buddy tape. And I don't know what the explanation for that would be, but I prefer buddy tape as a grafting product.
Yeah, it's whatever you're comfortable with. I received some scions from Enzies, actually, and they were wrapped in the parafilm or paraffin, and it's like a wax tape. It looks a lot like nursery tape, except for it's thicker. And when I got it, I thought, it just looks like it's not going to work. And I grafted those scions, and almost everything took. It just, it's so, it's like whatever works is fine, And so anyway, I have a appreciation for that also, but it's not. It seems a little more cumbersome to use because it's so thick. But the science, they stayed green, they pushed through it, and so it worked out real well.
I don't have any experience at all. I don't think with parafilm. I think what I've gotten has just been the standard grafting tape that's not the real stretchy stuff, and then buddy tape. and that's enough. For one, like you said earlier, one roll, unless you're me, will last you for a really long time. I tend to go through a roll a year, but I'm a little compulsive that way.
Yes, you're like constantly redecorating your trees, but adding new varieties to them. So
Yeah.
you have small trees with lots of varieties on them. So
yes.
it's lots of fun. You know, it's like you can do your trees however you want. They're your trees, and so if you want to have a single variety tree, great. If you want to have 20 varieties on one tree, well, go right ahead. I have to go get some more.
So,
Wait, before you go,
what do you think about using rooting hormone in grafting?
I have heard that is effective, and just basically to soak briefly the scion in the rooting hormone, and I think just it's supposed to help callus up the graft. I haven't yet tried it.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Maybe when we get a little bit of time. Like I keep thinking there's going to be extra time in the future, and I'm not sure if that's going to come to pass or not. But it would be interesting to do a bunch of grafts with the rooting hormone and some without,
Yeah.
and see if there's a difference in the take rate, or how quickly they start growing or whatever. But yeah, I've heard that's a good thing to do.
Aloe vera has also been recommended as a rooting hormone for mango scions. I haven't tried it. I'm dying to. I keep forgetting when I'm going to do one. If you have an aloe vera plant around, we should probably try that.
Yeah, I
Give it a
do,
shot.
I do. Yeah.
But I've seen multiple videos where people have used budwood dipped in aloe vera, and the claim is that it helps. So it would be interesting to find out.
Yeah, you might be getting the lucky winner of an aloe vera plant to take home with you. One of the things that, one of the many videos that I hope to do in the future is, grafting with alternative materials, because there are people in a lot of places in the world, and even in the U.S., that would like to use things other than buddy tape and all the the conveniences that we have, and basically I have used things other than elastics to secure that the union. One of the things that I did use successfully was curling ribbon. I don't. Yeah,
Really?
I know. It was around, so I used it. I thought, well, I'll try it out.
Wow.
It worked, but it took a long time for that particular graft to grow. But there are things other than curling ribbon that will, secure that graft. Twisty ties would work.
Ooh, yeah.
You just use a couple of those, and then you get to untwist them. It's a lot easier than getting some of these other things out. But somebody in the Caymans suggested fishing line. I've had a problem with fishing line as far as getting it to stay. Like it seems to slip for me. It's been a while since I've fished, but it doesn't seem like it's as easy to use as some other things. I've used cotton string that comes in on packages, and that it seems to work. And I've actually, I think one thing that might be possible to use is like the vein of frond, like one of those little pieces of a coconut palm that has that nice stiff green vein going through it.
Yeah.
And when it's nice and green and pliable, I think that would be sufficient to actually graft with. So
That would be really interesting.
so yeah, that's sometime when I don't have many other things on my calendar. You'll know that I'm caught up with the dishes when I start getting into that kind of a thing.
The obscure grafting methods.
Yeah. So we need 6 more rootstocks, and so
Okay.
I'm going to let you talk about things very loudly.
I'll try to do that as though I'm being passed by a freight train.
Yeah, our group here can come up with some questions, I'm sure, and I'll be back very soon with some more rootstock.
Yay!
So there was another question about rootstock, wasn't there just now? Oh, somebody called me the wild-haired girl.
Oh,
They heard my voice and they said I just
Is-
heard the wild.
Is that you or is that me?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. For a second I thought maybe I had a new nickname. And then I thought, I'll never get a haircut if someone's calling me that.
I'm glad they didn't mean me.
Who is the Mango Notebook woman? I know who they're talking about. I
think it's
remember her name.
Tatiana.
Tatiana. Has she been around this year?
Yeah.
Next time you see Tatiana at the gate,
Yeah.
tell her to go to the YouTube page.
Uh-huh.
There's somebody that really wants to get in touch with her, but we would never give out someone's personal information. So Tatiana would have to contact this person herself,
Okay.
or tell
I haven't
us.
seen Tatiana for a long time.
She was
She's
here
been-
this morning.
Was she? I didn't see her.
Scott's
Did you
very
wait on her
attentive.
this morning? You must have, because I didn't see
I
her.
think she was first in line even, first
No.
or second, yeah.
Really? I don't remember Tatiana.
Someone also once said that
That's
they've
embarrassing
seen
to say.
people, they've seen people use plumber's tape for grafting.
That might actually work.
Louder.
That might actually work.
It might be tough to get it off, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's sticky, it's stretchable. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work.
Okay, somebody named Shushing is asking if it would be easy to grow mangoes in the Jacksonville area.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
It's up awfully far. If you were going to grow,
They would have to have a
Mangoes.
place to put them inside. when
yeah,
it
they
gets
would have to
cooler.
come in the winter, and that's fine. But you would want to grow a variety that is small, so that you can bring them indoors or put them in the garage or protect them somehow. Because mangoes really don't do well with frost or with snow. So something like Julie or Cogs Hall or one of the smaller varieties that you can keep down to 6 or 8 feet, there's no reason you couldn't keep that going in Jacksonville, so long as you provide it with winter protection. That would be fine.
Getting back to the rooting hormones, someone's suggesting that you can use cinnamon powder.
I've
as a
heard that too,
substitute.
yeah. I've never tried it because I'm not daring that way.
Not yet.
Not
You're
yet.
getting
I know.
crazy
Yeah,
and
this
you're
year
dribbling.
it's gonna be the year of cinnamon powder. I've heard that works, but I do not know from firsthand experience.
So can you imagine the first person who tried it? Like,
Yeah, what would prompt you?
why would you try that? Unless
Yeah.
you had like a really good knowledge of the chemistry of cinnamon powder.
Yeah,
You know, maybe somebody was, you know, drinking cinnamon tea and splashed someone.
on their mango side.
But yeah,
Yeah, it's possible.
just yeah, it's interesting.
It is
Interesting
really
to,
interesting.
that would work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna try that after I try aloe vera, because that actually is something that I would like to kind of experiment with. And as luck would have it, I have a whole bunch of rootstock this year. Some Trey Dulch seedlings that I need to be grafting onto. So I'll have plenty of opportunity to mess around with that. But yeah, thanks for the suggestion.
That person who suggested that has lots of suggestions.
Oh, fantastic.
I wish we could know who everybody is. Like, for example, Michael Brown, thanks for using your name because we know who you are. But so many of these other people who make these comments and ask these questions, I know that particularly Chris feels like you are our family and we love to see you on YouTube. We have our in-person crowd, we have our YouTube crowd, but we don't know what your names are. So it'd be very nice sometime if you would like to introduce yourself. I know on my own YouTube I don't have my name, so I get it. But because we're like the Mango family over here, if you want to introduce yourself, we'd be delighted to meet you. Can you hear me?
Any more questions?
So we have Lisa in South Wales.
Hi, Lisa in South Wales.
Wow. How's the weather there?
Yeah.
So
I
nice.
wonder if you could grow mangoes in South Wales.
I think a greenhouse in South Wales would
Yeah,
be the way to
because
go.
it's a fairly warm. Lisa, do you try growing mangoes in South Wales? I would be really interested to know.
Hopefully Lisa's going to be interested in telling you.
Oh, that would be nice. I have a friend who's trying to grow mangoes in London.
How's that going?
Fairly well so far. She has a small tree and she brings it inside in the winter. She had 2 or 3 fruit this past year.
All right.
Yeah, so I mean it's doable. South Wales is further south though, so I'm very interested to know how the climate there would support mangoes. I suspect you could grow them.
Scott,
Yes.
when were you introduced to your first mango? Your first
The one that I liked or the first one that I had?
The first one that you ever had that was not from a store.
That would be no more than 6 years ago.
Oh wow.
Well, I moved here about 6 years ago, and prior to that, my only experience with mangoes was from a store, and they all tasted like pine trees,
Right.
and they were all hard and horrible. And I thought, who are these crazy people who would eat this? Like, for what reason would you eat this?
And now you've become one of those crazy
And now I'm one
people.
of the crazy people, yeah, no,
Well,
for
a long
sure.
time ago, and many moons ago, I was in India for a couple of months.
I'm so jealous.
I had mangoes there, but I had not heard of them in the United States because I was pretty young.
Uh-huh.
So then when we used to go to, Indian restaurants and you'd get mango smoothies and
Oh,
I
yeah.
loved them.
Yeah.
Or mango chutney, and I loved mangoes. And then we came here and the mangoes we got were from Costco.
Uh-huh.
And or from a local Thai restaurant, they'd have fresh mango and things. And I thought that they were really good. And then I came here one day. And my life as I knew it started all over again. And I remember I was here, I guess last week, I was at the gate, and this customer came and his wife sent him, he was looking for the kind of mangoes that they sell in Costco. He couldn't get them, and I suggested that he try what we had, and he said his wife would divorce him if he came home with any other kind of mango. And I was just like, oh, just try this, and he was rather insistent.
Yeah, it's...
So every year, Patrick and I, and thanks to Chris, we send 2 boxes of mangoes to an unsuspecting friend.
Oh, that's really nice.
And somebody that has done something very kind for us during the year that we just want to surprise.
Yeah.
And it's been really wonderfully received.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So far, I'm not on the list for the recipient.
I know, me neither. That's because I never do anything nice for her.
That's right, sure. But it's really, but I will say that I feel like it's like once I send them the
Then
box,
there's the expectation.
yeah, then
Yeah.
I feel like then they're always like, oh, what other kinds of mangoes? It's really interesting. And then the next year I feel guilty because they're not getting another box. Somebody else.
One and done.
Yeah.
That is kind of the problem of being nice.
And they all, like this year I sent out the 2 boxes on the same day. So they mostly got the same mangoes. And these 2 people know each other, but they did not know that they each got a box of mango.
Oh. And they didn't
it was
mention
really-
it to each other?
They never mentioned it. I think that it didn't occur to them that anybody else would care that Patrick and I sent them a box of mangoes, Or maybe they didn't want anybody else to know. I don't know. I never, I never said don't tell anyone,
Yeah.
but I do say, you know, you were so kind because you did this so that they, you know,
Yeah, so they know
feel
what they're for.
appreciation, and it's really a wonderful thing to do because
That
for
is
some
nice.
people they've never had, except if they've traveled to, you know, East Asia,
Mhm.
they've never had a mango fresh off the tree.
Well, I think that would be most people in the U.S.
Yeah.
We're spoiled here in Florida in that we have lots and lots of options and lots of variety and lots of people growing really good mangoes.
You mean you go to other mango growers other than Chris?
Oh, don't tell her I said that.
What other varieties have you enjoyed that you can't get here?
I had one recently called Shrivana Rena that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's a little
That was a dig.
background for
That was a little dig.
We have I got some graft wood for that particular variety for him, and grafted some myself. He grafted some. Zero took.
Yeah,
So
that was really too
that
bad.
was incompatibility of graft
yeah.
wood or something.
Also, I had one called Trey Dulce, which Chris doesn't care for, but
It was good. It just wasn't
it was
great.
no, it wasn't a great mango out of hand. But refrigerated, it tasted like mandarin oranges, which was quite nice, I thought. And it has a lot of fiber. It's a Haitian mango, I guess. And so, I mean, not that all Haitian mangoes are fibrous, but this particular one was fairly fibrous.
We don't do a lot of fiber at this farm, I understand.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep coming back.
So anyway,
Regularly.
I think we've got to sort of wrap it
Yeah.
up because we don't want to.
We're boring people now.
Yeah, we don't want to have people falling asleep too,
Yeah.
before night, whatever.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we don't bore them to sleep. But thank you very much, Beth, for coming over and providing a volume cheerleader and also responding to the comments. And of course Scott, who's been, it's been a big day for you already.
It has been a big
Yes.
day. Yeah.
Working out in front of the gate for 3 hours and then coming here and
Grafting my little heart out.
grafting your heart out, and a fine job. But anyway, thank you both for everything, and to our wonderful video
Yeah,
person
thanks for
also.
thanks to everybody for
The
watching.
one with the beautiful long locks.
And keep the questions coming because there may be another one of these. You just don't know. So
And-
the more questions, the more things we have to answer.
And also, I want to thank people who have been responding to questions on YouTube because I have not had the time to respond to very many questions at all. And we've had some wonderful YouTube viewers coming up with nice advice for other people. And so thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.